Welcome to Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. Stay informed with quick, easy-to-listen summaries of our latest articles, perfect for when you're on the go. No reading required. Subscribe for free at mercola.com for the latest health insights.
Hello, and welcome to Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. I'm Ethan Foster, and today we're going to discuss the powerful forces behind the infant formula industry and why breastfeeding remains one of the most effective ways to nurture a child. With me is my co-host, Alara Sky. We'll be looking at the history of formula, the inclusion of seed oils and other controversial ingredients, and the remarkable benefits of breast milk.
Thank you, Ethan. I'm glad we're covering this topic because many people may not realize just how large and influential the infant formula industry has become. It's said to be approaching $100 billion in annual sales, and much of its growth was achieved through aggressive marketing. Many of these tactics taught both doctors and parents to move away from breastfeeding, believing that formula was automatically safe and effective.
That's an important starting point. One key factor is that infant formulas often contain ingredients like corn syrup and seed oils, which can cause metabolic dysfunction and lead to excessive weight gain in children. For decades, this weight gain was treated as the new normal, making naturally fed babies sometimes appear underweight by comparison. It's a cycle that continues, with pediatric growth charts sometimes favoring the heavier weights of formula-fed infants.
Precisely. Many people are unaware that there's actually a regulation dating back to 1980, tied to a 1963 study, which requires infant formula to be high in linoleic acid from seed oils. These rules have never really been updated in line with newer research, which now indicates that excessive seed oils can lead to inflammation and other health issues. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. recently announced a plan called Operation Stork Speed to reevaluate these outdated guidelines and address widespread formula-related health concerns.
That's a significant development. Meanwhile, we know that breast milk, particularly when the mother's diet is nutrient-rich, offers unparalleled benefits. It aids brain, gut, and immune system development and reduces the risk of serious diseases. Beyond this, breastfeeding fosters a deep bond between mother and child and can even lower the mother's risk of illnesses like certain cancers. Before formula became a mass-market product, mothers who couldn't produce enough milk often turned to raw animal milks, which, if handled properly, could be more beneficial than people realize.
Indeed. Historically, raw milk played a role in sustaining infants when breastfeeding wasn't feasible. However, as pasteurization became standard, raw milk got overshadowed. Pasteurizing milk can denature proteins and reduce essential vitamins, making it less beneficial. Also, people have grown to fear raw milk due to concerns about bacterial contamination, though data suggests that it's not as dangerous as commonly believed, especially if sourced from clean, grass-fed operations.
Good point. We should also talk about the infant formula shortage a few years ago. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration's inspection led to a major recall, sparking panic buying and fights in grocery stores. This was a clear sign of how reliant society has become on formula. It appeared few recognized that breastfeeding, or potentially using safe raw or alternative milks, might be a more reliable approach to feeding a child if proper guidance and resources are available.
Exactly. That shortage showed us how effectively mothers have been discouraged from breastfeeding and encouraged to depend on a commercial product. From there, we see how the formula industry's marketing has infiltrated pediatric practices. You'll often find pediatricians labeling healthy babies as underweight, then recommending more formula. This approach aligns with growth charts developed when formula-fed children were seen as the default, thus skewing the benchmarks upward.
Another historical aspect worth mentioning is the Nestlé formula scandal from the 1970s, where the company was pushing infant formula onto impoverished mothers in developing nations, sometimes via sales reps dressed as nurses. These mothers were led to believe they couldn't produce enough milk, became anxious, and stopped breastfeeding. Then, unable to afford adequate amounts of formula, they diluted it. Tragically, this resulted in millions of malnourished infants. It's a clear example of how predatory some marketing tactics were, and sometimes still are.
And those tactics didn't end with Nestlé. The industry is infamous for spending billions on marketing, lobbying to prevent longer maternity leave, and sanctioning countries that encourage breastfeeding over formula. Despite increasing awareness of breastfeeding's health advantages, less than half of infants worldwide meet the World Health Organization's breastfeeding recommendations. This shortfall contributes to both health problems and financial costs in the form of rising childhood obesity and healthcare expenses.
Let's circle back to the specifics of seed oils and formula. Many parents now question why every formula they find is packed with these oils, given the research linking them to obesity and inflammation. As you said, it's the result of old regulations from 1980 that demanded a minimum amount of linoleic acid, though more recent findings suggest that amount is too high and potentially detrimental.
Right. The science has moved on, but the policies remain stuck in a past era. Many crucial fats aren't adequately present in modern formula, and even if the science points to changes needed, large-scale formula manufacturers benefit from the status quo because seed oils are cheap. This leaves parents who want a healthier formula with very limited options unless they decide to explore raw milk or safe homemade formulas.
Breastfeeding, on the other hand, provides critical elements that no manufactured product can replicate. Breast milk is rich in growth factors, antibodies, enzymes, and even microRNA, components essential for immune development and gastrointestinal health. These factors also help regulate gene expression and prevent allergies. It's truly a living substance, uniquely tailored for infants, and supports a baby's natural development in ways formula can't fully match.
Exactly. Breast milk also contains essential fatty acids, cholesterol, and special carbohydrates known as human milk oligosaccharides, all of which support a child's cognitive and visual development. Studies repeatedly show that breastfeeding is tied to fewer infections, lower rates of sudden infant death syndrome, decreased cancer risks, and stronger brain development. Plus, it has clear benefits for mothers, including reducing the risk of breast and ovarian cancers and aiding in postpartum recovery.
It's amazing how broad those benefits are, and the importance of providing mothers with proper support can't be overstated. A stressful environment can seriously lower milk production, which may lead to a cycle of formula reliance. On the other hand, adequate maternity leave, supportive counseling, and family assistance can make a world of difference in encouraging successful breastfeeding. When mothers and families recognize how beneficial this can be, both baby and mother benefit significantly.
That's where the recent announcement by RFK Jr. through Operation Stork Speed becomes so relevant. For the first time, a Health and Human Services Secretary is stepping up to reevaluate formula's nutritional requirements and investigate known contamination issues like heavy metals. It's a major step toward addressing the fundamental problems in how formula is manufactured, what goes into it, and why so many mothers have been convinced they need it.
Absolutely. Restoring healthy infant feeding practices doesn't just help children at the start of life. It sets up better health patterns well into adulthood. Formula loaded with additives and seed oils has contributed to rising rates of childhood obesity and metabolic dysfunction. By contrast, kids who are breastfed or who get well-balanced natural formulas often show fewer of these issues as they grow. This underscores the long-term significance of childhood nutrition.
Precisely. When we understand that breast milk is the gold standard, we also begin to question how we approach everything else in healthcare. Are we encouraging parents to rely on a corporate product rather than a natural, more effective option? And if so, how can we change that? The good news is that there's growing awareness, and people are ready to push for reforms. If Operation Stork Speed succeeds, that momentum may only grow.
Well said, Alara. Thank you for sharing these vital points. For our listeners, the takeaway is that breastfeeding is an incredibly powerful way to give infants their best possible start, and it often goes hand in hand with supporting the mother's health as well. We appreciate your time and attention today. That concludes this episode of Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. I'm Ethan Foster, along with my co-host, Alara Sky, wishing you well and hoping you found this discussion informative.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe now and click the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.